You're back with The Nation. With the MMP threshold set to be lowered, the Conservative Party is hoping to make a big impact on the political scene at the next election. Its millionaire leader, Colin Craig, has hit the headlines with his views on everything from gay marriage to promiscuity. But is there more to the Conservatives than their outspoken leader? Who are the party's supporters? And what do they stand for? The party wasn't keen to talk about it, as our reporter Torben Akel found out.
When Colin Craig organised the so-called March for Democracy up Queen Street in November 2009, it was to protest the government's decision to ignore 3 citizens-initiated referenda. Referenda that had called for tougher justice, less MPs and the repeal of the anti-smacking law. Today, if you go to his Conservative Party's website, you'll see that those 3 referenda results are now the party's 3 core policies. There too, you'll see a lot of Colin Craig, but little else about the party's other leaders, even though it has a board of 9 and fielded 52 candidates at the last election. You could be forgiven for thinking that there's not much more to the party than Colin Craig. So 11 days ago, The Nation called the Conservatives and said we wanted to do a story about the wider party. We were told, though, that while a morning with Colin Craig would be fine, no one else could be interviewed before this story went to air. And then a day later, our filming with Mr. Craig was suddenly cancelled too, with this.
Hi Torben, Rachel McGregor here. We're going to have to cancel the filming tomorrow morning. We would be happy to do something with you in the future when we can have a bit more time to prepare and we're not caught at such a busy time. But at this point, we will have to cancel what was planned as we're not comfortable with that story. So thank you very much and we'll talk to you another time. See you.
Our response was that the story would go ahead with or without their involvement. And 3 days later, they agreed to let us interview others in the party besides Colin Craig. So on Tuesday we went to Conservative Party HQ, this medieval-looking building on Auckland's North Shore, which also serves as the base for Mr. Craig's business empire. There we spoke to 3 of the Conservatives' other leaders, but with Press Secretary Rachel always close behind. First up was AJ Hines, the chairman of the Conservatives' new youth wing, a former pro-rugby player, bodyguard and self-confessed evangelist, seen here on the internet preaching God's word at a North Shore beach. A 28-year-old South African tasked with enlisting 16 to 30-year-old Kiwis into the Conservative Party.
So what are the young people that you're meeting saying about the Conservative Party and why they are interested in it?
They feel that it's a party that are standing on their principles, that are standing up for what they believe, that are standing for their values and not being drifted by public and popular opinion, although it's coming out that in terms of the country, a lot of the people actually know what is best.
Next up was Paul Young, a well-known figure in the Chinese community who, in 2011, got the 2nd highest number of votes of any Conservative candidate after Colin Craig.
I mean, do you think that the Asian vote could be the key to the Conservatives getting above the threshold?
I personally thinking that might be happen, but not only Conservative. Probably the Asian vote in New Zealand one day will be quite important for all the elections because we're getting more Asian people come to the country.
Arguably one of the party's greatest assets, though, is board member Christine Rankin, the feisty former Work and Income chief executive.
Would you say church-going Christians are the support base of the Conservative Party?
Absolutely not. We're a mainstream party. I wouldn't have joined this party if it had been anything other than mainstream. And I was very careful about talking with Colin about that and talking with other board members because I just wouldn't be part of that. That wouldn't be a comfortable place for me. And no, I don't believe that at all. I think that the people we're attracting are widespread and diverse. They are conservative New Zealanders.
There is a perception out there that Colin Craig is just a rich man playing politician. What do you think of that?
He's certainly a self-made man and good on him. There needs to be a lot more New Zealanders just like him. But I don't agree with that at all. He's passionate about his country. And as I said to you before, he's a very courageous man and I admire that hugely. We don't have enough courage in politics. And he's not playing politics, he's deadly serious.
He may be deadly serious, but to date it's been hard for Colin Craig to get himself taken seriously. Perhaps because his views are unfashionable.
New Zealand women were the most promiscuous in the world.
Or maybe because some see him as a threat. The party says it now has 2,800 paid-up members. And after some serious hairstyling by Press Secretary Rachel, Mr Craig was happy to talk more about numbers and prove his party is gaining traction.
Our goal is to have a committee in each electorate, which would consist of 3 people, so that would be close to 200 odd people. Now, we're only about halfway there on that, so that would put us at around about, say, 100 odd people across the country at the moment who are engaged volunteers who are actually out there getting things done.
One of your key policies is the repeal of the anti-smacking legislation. You have a young daughter. Do you smack her?
Research last month shows that 2/3 of parents would still smack their child if they considered it was reasonable. And I'm in that 2/3.
When was the last time you smacked her?
Oh, we were just reminiscing this morning that we couldn't actually remember because it's been a while. She's been great and good, and that's fantastic.
Was it in the last month?
I may have done the last month, yeah, could have done.
Gay marriage is something that you are vocally and vehemently opposed to. Why?
I think there are a couple of issues that really resonated with me. The first one was this was really a discussion about parenting as well because of the impact on the adoption law and practice in New Zealand. I think the second thing was I actually quite like tradition, culture, history. These things matter. So for me, that change and the speed at which it was done and the process by which it was done didn't fit well with me. And that's why we were quite vocal about that part of it as well.
However, the Nation did speak to one former high-level party official who told us he believed too much focus on moral issues like gay marriage could cost the party votes in 2014, not win them.
He believed the Christian vote has a ceiling of 5% when the Conservatives have ambitions to reach 30%. But Colin Craig says he's happy with the party's direction.
Is the marriage issue a Conservative issue? Yes, it is. I mean, there are many people on the against change side of the debate who have no particular religious beliefs, but they were social conservatives. I'm confident that we represent the Conservative side of the ledger pretty well. It's clear to me that that's a really decent-sized constituency in New Zealand.
To see what kind of people the party is attracting, we went along to a public meeting in Mangere a few hours after our interview. There, Colin Craig kicked off with this curious acknowledgement of our presence.
Look, it's great to see you here again. We do have a television camera here tonight. Don't feel you have to make any comments or anything like that. You don't have to be a star if you don't want to be.
Then he launched into a 15-minute speech with the theme of long-term thinking.
Hundreds of thousands of New Zealanders right now don't have the work that they'd like to have. Thank you very much.
And while his party may be called Conservative, his message was more nationalistic.
Our resources ending up in foreign ownership. If we want to do business with a Chinese company, we don't have to sell them land. If we've got big foreign companies that say, oh, gee, let's come into New Zealand, let's work, let's make something happen there. It's a work with us sort of a deal. I mean, we're busy trying to play market economics with China, and we're losing. And you wonder why? I mean, it's not rocket science, is it? Here's the bottom line. We're not surrendering our resources to you.
When he started taking questions, though, and 3 people in a row objected to his day-before comments about Māori powhiris being threatening to foreign dignitaries, there was less bluster and more fluster.
A lot of New Zealanders have actually never been onto a marae. I have. I've had the fortunate experience of that and lived on them and dealt with, various different things. I've sat around, while we all cook up kai and have a... For me, I've had the privilege of that. Question at the back, yeah.
So would you say you're culturally ignorant?
Me? No, I wouldn't say I was. I think, of what culture? I mean, if you ask me about Danish culture, I'd have to admit I don't know it that well.
Mr Craig's talk was wrapped up with yet another warning about our presence.
They're filming for the Nation. They may try and talk to you as you go out. Don't feel like you have to talk to them.
And sure enough, many of them wouldn't. When some of them would, though, Press Secretary Rachel followed us outside.
He disagreed with a lot of Conservative Party's policy.
Forcing me to ask her with a now croaky voice to please go away.
Yeah, sorry, you were saying I interrupted. So what brought you here tonight? You're a writer. Why did you come though?
Because I disagree with a lot of the Conservative Party's policies, especially in regards to race relations and also in terms of the marriage equality. Yeah.
This is a very good party, and we believe in their policies and how they value families and also the plan for the future.
If the party's not going to be able to make a good stand on cultural issues and living in Māngere, which is a cultural place, then that makes me wonder if that's the party I want to affiliate with.
And when I went back inside to invite people outside to talk to us, Rachel shadowed me again and had this to say off camera.
I think it's fair that you speak straight up with Torben, like what you want and where you want
I want to
it.
get vox pops of people and ask them why they've come tonight.
You want to be standing with you?
I want to be standing with us, and that's not acceptable to me as a journalist. Can't talk. So we have a very extraordinary situation here tonight where the press secretary of the Conservative Party has said that we cannot do any interviews inside the public meeting unless she is standing behind us, which I told her was unacceptable, to which she said, well, we need to film outside here then.
What was your name?
So we left Colin Craig to his supporters with the feeling that while his star may be on the rise, Kiwi voters still have a lot to learn about his party, and his party has a lot to learn about courting the media.